my name is Julia Guardo.
Lily Kiefer.
Tamaya Keys.
And we are communication students that will be analyzing the power of persuasion in a commercial in a speech. So the commercial that we watched was a don't drink and drive commercial done by Budweiser that was very persuasive, at least in our opinion. So Tamaya, what do you think the ethos was in that commercial?
Well, hearing don't drink and drive from a beer company makes it seem more credible because they're putting their company on the line to advocate for something that is completely like the opposite of what they're selling. That's about it, And because it's such a big company, like we said, that's really the ethos of it.
Their size gives them the power.
Mhm.
So then, Lily, what would you say the pathos is?
I would say the pathos of the commercial is that they really value the friendship between a boy and his dog. The boy goes out with his friends drinking, and then the dog waits for him all night until the next morning when the owner comes back, and then he comes back, opens the door, and says, "Hey, buddy." And then I think it really shows the passion that they have for each other, and I think it really appeals to the audience, especially those who own pets. So, yeah.
And I mean, for me, I also saw logos in the commercial where it was very chronological in the sense that you see the boy adopting this nice little puppy, and you see them grow up together. Then eventually, you see, as Lily said, the pathos where he leaves his now grown dog. But when he comes back, he's like, "Hey, sorry, buddy. I didn't think it was a good idea to drive last night." And it kind of just has a direct message that's not, you don't have to go and imply a lot of
it's
stuff.
right in your face.
Yeah.
It's like right there.
It really shows the responsibility that the owner is taking.
Or that the company is taking and making sure that the people that drink their beer are responsible as well.
Yeah. Our next analysis is the speech about texting and driving, which I know most of you do because I do it too sometimes. And we're going to be talking about the ethos, pathos, and logos. So I think the ethos really shows his credibility. In the right-hand corner of the whiteboard, he has his name written down, and then next to his name is what seems to be written as MPP /EMT, but we're not really sure. MPP is Master of Public Policy, which seems legit, but we're not really sure. And he also shows his credibility with his badges on his uniform. Right here is the American flag, and he also states in his speech that he is in the military. And being in the military shows he has organization skills, and he has the power of discipline. So we should be listening to him. So, Tamaya, what do you think is the pathos of his speech?
Well, even though he has a lot of credibility, it's the exact opposite when it comes to pathos. He has no passion within his speech, and it's just cut and dry. The most that he's ever done for it to even connect with the audience or try to get them to sympathize is when he tells the audience, he tells them, imagine if somebody else is in your shoes, or this person right next to you could be in an accident, or somebody right now, or you. And that is probably the only time that he ever actually tried to sympathize with the audience. Other than that, it's cut and dry.
Yeah, I think so too. So, Julia, what do you think is the logos of the speech?
He loved his statistics.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his main logic. He tried to back up all of his points with this statistic and that statistic and this statistic. He almost actually overused statistics in a way.
Yeah, definitely did.
Which is why it was no passion in it, because he put so many statistics in it that it just overwhelmed it.
Yeah.
So now that we've covered both the speech and the commercial, I think it's time to compare and contrast them. They were both on similar topics, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Too hard.
So let's start with what was more persuasive. I think
The commercial, definitely.
Yeah.
I do agree. The commercial was a lot more entertaining and easier to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I think the commercial was for a wider audience, and the commercial would draw in more people because the speech was really direct with more facts and
Just the people in front of them.
yeah, and listening to the speech wasn't as interesting, and I don't think had a drawn in more of an audience than the commercial did.
Because you know what, people like to see things, and then with him it was just like him going like this and us visualizing. We weren't visualizing it, we were just hearing statistics. It was like, okay, I don't care about these facts. It's more like, what is your stand on it, you know?
Yeah.
He was just telling us about what was happening. It was just like, no,
Yeah, and
let me
if,
get a little more.
if we really wanted to know more all the statistics about texting and driving, we could look those up on the internet ourselves. So he was just restating all these statistics more than persuading us to not text and drive.
His goal to persuade us was just flat statistics, and statistics can be skewed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody can look something up. So if I really wanted to know that, I could have looked it up, and I could have not watched that speech.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even though we obviously had one that we preferred over the other, they both still had pros and cons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, for the commercial, it definitely made you feel more attached, and it almost had like a suspenseful moment of, is he coming home? Is he coming home?
Yeah.
But it didn't have any information or statistics, unlike the others.
It
Unlike
was
the
just
speech.
a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a message, and that was it. So if people did want to know about it, there's nothing really to say about it, you know?
Yeah.
And then with the speech, I mean, the pros and cons are kind of the opposite, where it was informative
Mhm.
if you can get over the fact that he didn't have a large stage presence.
Yeah. But with the speech, he was more informative than he was persuasive,
Mhm.
which isn't really putting the message onto his audience. But with the commercial, I think they could have used more, maybe a fact or two at the end, just to wrap it up and give us an idea of.
You know, I think it's the specific. His was not really for an audience. His was just like you said, informative. Unlike the commercial, which was for an audience, which was, making sure everybody can understand, get the message, and at the end of the day, the moral of the story is told. Unlike the speech.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really the big differences, actually.
Yeah.
My name is Julia Guardo.
Lily Kiefer.
Tamaya Keys.
And
we want you to be safe on the road.